What's up YouTube, Hunter here with Precision Retrofits, back with another video. And today we just got a quick installation video for you here. You see this hood sitting right behind me. It's a Cervini Cowl hood, and today we're going to be putting it on this 2024 F-150. So we're just going to do a real quick walkthrough. It's fairly simple. We'd show you a little bit of the process on how you swap one of these. This one's already painted, obviously, as you can tell, so I'm not going to necessarily go through that process, but we painted it here, obviously in our giant paint booth right here. But we're going to go ahead, disassemble here, walk you through a little bit of the steps as far as what you need to do in order to get the hood itself off and get this new one installed here. Okay, so first step on this, obviously we got the hood open. Just a quick side note, these do have our custom switchback F-150 headlights. They'll light up white instead of that factory amber, and then they'll blink amber as well. First step on this, open your hood, obviously, kind of common sense there. And then I'm just going to show you the connection points here. So these are 13 millimeter nuts right here, one right here, and then another one back here. And then you have the ram itself, and that I'll show you once we get to it, but pop off a clip here and then the ram itself will pop itself off. And then it does have some rubber knobs here and there, like one there and some that are up top on here that we're going to transfer over, and we'll show you the little process behind that. We won't reuse this felt liner in here, but that's just the connection points. It's just those two nuts on each side and the ram, and then this hood will come off. It's not attached by anything else. We're going to undo these and then unbolt it, and we're going to pull this thing off. Okay, so a quick thing on these hood hydraulic rams on these. There's this little metal clip that you kind of see right here. If you look in here, there's a little notch. You're going to want to get your flathead or your pry tool in this notch, and then you'll pry it up, and it'll end up looking like this one over here once you get it pried up, and then that ram will just pop off. So the ram should look like that, and then we're going to take off the 13 millimeter nuts here and then pull this hood off. Okay, so we pulled the hood off after getting those bolts off and then undoing the rams, and it just comes right off. Hood's right there. We're going to pull the little rubber flaps off and then pull the clips off with it too, and then we'll replace it, put it back on the cowl hood here, and we will have to drill some of these holes out where the clips and stuff go, but we'll drill those out and then reinsert the little rubber stops and the little rubber flap that sits here. And then the latch will just go, it comes with the supplied bolts in order to put the latch back on. So we'll put the latch on there. The one thing that is different than the factory one is you can't utilize the factory nuts that you just took off the brace there. And so what you're going to do is this hood will come with brackets that are pre-installed. They're just pretty much support brackets for shipping and stuff like that, but they'll come with bolts that are installed in here. And so what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and use those bolts here in order to insert them through the bracket here. And then we will also need to replace what attaches to the ram here. We'll take it off the hood down there and put it onto this hood as well. So he's gonna go ahead and pull the rest of these off. We're gonna swap everything over, and then we should be good to put this on. And actually I just lied, because these are different from the Super Duties, which is what we're used to, but the F-150s have this ball attached to the hood bracket itself, so we don't need to swap that from the old hood. It's already there, obviously. So we could technically leave this on, but it makes it a little bit easier to install. We don't need to swap that. We just need to use the bolts off the Cervini support bracket in order to install this. These are the bolts that I was referring to that come with the bracket. So these bolts are what we're going to use to go through there and bolt into here. Okay, so that's what we're going to utilize for that. Now I just want to say a quick thing on this. You may be wondering why the rest of the hood's not painted. This is primed from Cervini, and so this is the underside, obviously. And so since it's already primed, we don't technically need to put any more paint, especially if the customer doesn't want to pay for that extra surface area being painted. So like for this one instead, we just make sure we spray the spot that you can see, because you're going to be able to see this somewhat from the inside of the cab through the windshield, because this is the front edge, I guess it'd be the back edge of the hood. So that's what we do on these, at least. And then I don't know why Cervini, I mean, I guess I do know why they primer this in a gray. It makes it a little bit easier to match to some colors, but if it was black for some of this, it might be a little bit more simple, just because if it's a black primer, you then definitely don't need to primer it black or spray the underside black to match. Now if it's a white or a gray, it probably blends it a little bit more. So that's probably why they primer it this gray color. But just so you know, if you do want this to match the rest of your truck, you'll have to let your painter know that you do want it painted. It's probably going to be an extra cost. It is for us just because it's more work. You got to flip it upside down, spray it, and then flip it around and spray it again. So anyways, that's just figure I'd note that because I'm sure we'll get some comments about why we didn't spray the underside of it. Customer didn't want to spray the underside. So that's up to you there. So we're going to drill out these holes. These ones up front, they're a little bit skinnier than the ones for the little rubber stops right here. 7/32 drill bit. Kenny's going to drill them out real quick, but do that all the way across the front, and then we'll reinstall our rubber flaps here, and skinnier ones go on each end, and then this bigger rubber one goes in the middle. So he's going to drill those out all the way across so that our clips fit, and then we'll also drill out the little stop holes. This is a factory one. We're going to drill those out right there. And then there's also one that sits in right here. I don't know if we have to drill this one out. I don't think we do, but we'll put those in, and then we should be good to throw this hood back on. So we got the clips back on this thing, all the holes drilled out, and that thing, I'll just show you, there's these little bump stop thingies. I'm gonna take that, drill that, hold out, and so this thing will just fit right back in there. Same with this, fit right back in there. Okay, clip your pieces in, and once we're done clipping this in, we'll be set to throw this thing on the truck. Okay, so like I said earlier, now that I know it, on the F-150s, you don't need to pull that ram off. You can actually just leave it attached to this piece, and it might make it a little bit easier for you to install the hood just because both of them are going to be set up like that. So you don't have to pull that ram off like I mentioned earlier, but on the Super Duties you do, because this little mounting point for the ram is attached to the hood itself. F-150s, different apparently, so just so you know on that. But we're ready to throw this thing back on. The hood itself, everything is attached to it, all our rubber strips, the latch, and then our bump stops back here are good to go. So we're going to throw this on with our bolts and go from there. We got big boy Ev on this one right here. He's the only one tall enough to actually physically put this on the truck. So line it up. Word of advice, put your hand back there so it gets smashed instead of you smashing the paint. And that way you don't chip the corner of the hood or chip the corner of the fender there. But you'll get those things threaded. Why is there tape on your finger? So you get those, and then you can roughly mock it up. You're probably going to need to adjust the hood a little bit as far as where it fits in order to get the fender gaps and whatnot correct. So those are 10 millimeter bolts. Tighten those up, and then we'll adjust it from there. Go up a little bit. Another word of advice is to check this gap right here before you shut it all the way, because if the hood is too far this way, it will catch your lip right here that I was talking about. But this should be about perfect. We adjust it a little bit, but just go down slowly your first time just so you make sure you're not catching any corners and chipping any of the paint. Okay, so first test fit, you can see our line here. It's a little bit bigger than we like, so we're going to adjust it a little bit more. And this right here is a little bit more. We'll obviously wipe off fingerprints and whatnot. That's our first test fit. This side doesn't look too bad. This is kind of what we want as far as the gap goes. So we're going to undo those bolts one more time, kind of adjust a little bit more so, and then we should be set as far as getting this fully on. Evan's going to get it clean with his white powder, and we should be set. But these lines, we got them pretty much as close as they can. Some of these hoods are all different because they're all fiberglass, and so they're not all necessarily made the same. So some of the gaps are a little bit different on different trucks. But for the most part, we got this one. We're going to space it a little bit more so, but she should be set and looks pretty good. So we're going to clean this off, and then we'll do a quick little cinematic for you here. All right, so there you have it. We got the hood fully installed. I know it's nothing crazy, but just figured we'd show you a little bit of everything that we do around here, including hoods like this, the Cowl hoods. But yeah, we can dealers for these Cervini hoods, so if you need us to supply this, paint it, and install it, we can do that, obviously. This is a local guy here, so yeah, we did that for him. Agate black is the color of this F-150. Looks pretty good, honestly, especially with these headlights. They look pretty sick. But yeah, it just kind of adds a little bit of a dimension to it. Looks pretty good in my opinion, especially this truck right here. Yeah, just hopefully that was helpful. Figured it would be just a little bit more insightful, nothing too crazy, but simple install on this, swapping out the hood. This would go for pretty much any hood as well. But yeah, if you need any quotes, questions on this, we'd love to help you out. Hunter Precision Retrofits. Appreciate you guys watching, and we will catch you on the next video.